Greetings. Welcome everyone to Ignite Your Soul Connection, Summer Solstice 2021. And our topic for this season is Our Children Matter. We are so excited to talk with you about our children. As you can see, there's a lot going on in the world, and we realized that maybe we need to have a straight dialogue about what we can do in our community to make a difference for our children. And you're going to hear all of this week a different speaker each night talk about a theme that is close to their heart. Tonight we're speaking with Mecca Eves Glass, and she's going to talk about what it means to teach your children how to know themselves. So tonight's topic is Know Thyself, but it's for children. Now, we're not saying that we're the experts. What we're sharing with you is from our experiences, from our research, from our clients, from things that we've seen that may work for you. And we're making suggestions, but we're also talking in a way that we want to inspire you to do something different. Now, most of you may not know me, but my name is Shemsu-t, also Rita Stewart. I am the owner of Master Force and the founder of Master Force International Leadership Academy. I have been working on this academy now for over 30 years, and we have been bringing to you Ignite Your Soul Connection for the past 11 years, bringing this to you as a gift. We want to share with you from our community. We want you to know that there are people right next door that may be able to support you, encourage you, inspire you, enlighten you, and even maybe just listen to you right there. So you're going to meet a few of those people this week. But tonight, we're talking with Mecca. And Mecca is one of our new Master Force certified coaches. And she's going to tell you a little bit about herself and just give you a chance to get to know her before we get into our topic. So, Mecca, how are you? Introduce yourself and let our audience know who you are.
I'm well. My name is Mecca Eves Glass. I am a wife, a mother of biologically three, bonus children, seven, and then we have two married children, so that makes us have nine. And we have a grandchild,
Mm-hmm.
three. They're so wonderful and loving. And I'm a teacher and a friend, and that's just who I am.
Wonderful. So, 9 children, and you're a teacher. Where do you live?
I was born and raised in Harvey, Illinois, but I'm in Dixmoor now. So
Okay, so you're in the Chicagoland area.
yes, if especially if you're out of town, you're from Chicago. If you're not, you are not from Chicago. You better be correct.
That's exactly right. Now, how long have
Mhm.
you been a teacher?
Well, actually, I've been a teacher since I was 5 years old.
You did
Seriously,
say
I've been
that.
running for
Yes.
real. I've been running class with my brothers and cousins and things like that. But I started probably in the '90s as an assistant, and then I became a preschool teacher, and then I was certified in the middle school. So I've been in the middle school for about 10 years.
Wow, that's a nice little history to work with children.
Yeah.
Okay, so at 5, you pretty much started on your path then as a teacher. You knew.
Yes, that is so important, and that goes so well with our topic today because I really didn't know at that time, but I actually was being who my life path was saying that I will be, and
Yeah,
that is a teacher. Hmm.
right. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Today is Father's Day.
Yay! And summer solstice, right?
And the summer solstice and Heru Day. We have so much amazing energy going on. So
Yes.
happy Father's Day. I mean, 9 children. You guys had to celebrate today.
Well, we've been in different areas. We have been in different areas, but people have been sending gifts because, I helped out the newlyweds today. And so
Yes.
last night I had Mitchell, well, my grandson.
Yes.
And so it was a treat, helping Maya and Mitchell surprise our their dad. Well, not their dad, but her husband and his dad.
Yes. Yes.
So it
Yes.
was very, 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 very rewarding. And so I had to, I was coming here and I wanted to breathe. And so my husband was like, okay, well, you go and you breathe and you just relax and he'll go out and have fun. So he's actually with my family, which is so awesome because they love him so much.
That is wonderful.
Yep. Yep.
So now, what actually you're a master force certified life coach.
Yeah.
When did you certify?
On my birthday, on my 45th birthday, which is January 15th, 2021.
Okay, okay. So
So
you
I
are
haven't, yes,
mm-hmm,
I'm a newly
newly, and then what made you
certified.
newly certified? But you've been life coaching for a minute, right?
Yeah.
So what made you take on being a life coach?
Well, I actually didn't even know that I was in a life coach program. That's the truth. So I was just taught, I met someone, Kiana, she's a life coach here on Facebook, and we just began to talk in our inbox. And I was telling her about some things that I was going through. And she said, you know what? You need to take this class and and you will be able to really hone in on all of those skills and you'll be able to open up so much, and be able to connect with what's trying to connect with you. So I was like, okay, I was in. And so then once I got in the program, it was like life coach, what? So but I loved it. And I really I'm glad that I'm able to use it as a skill and sharpen my tools.
Wonderful. So it's is it do you find that being a life coach is similar to what you do as a teacher?
Oh yes. And
Mm-hmm.
I think teachers need more training like life coaches
Yeah.
as well as psychologists and different things like that because we are not just teachers. It was a time when teachers were respected as that's your teacher. You go in, you listen, you sit down, and that is not what's going on today in 2021. So I mean, I literally my last job before I began working with this district, the principal told me I am not the children's mother and stopped being that way with them. And that was not a way that I wanted to work. And if he wasn't comfortable with that, then I didn't need to work there because these children, they have an immediate need. And if that's not taken care of, they can't learn. So that's just who I've always been. Yes.
Okay, so it sounds like you actually are more of a nurturer.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
Totally.
yes, that's what people tend to think of as mothering,
Hmm.
someone who is a nurturer.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. So now we've taken on the topic called "Know Thyself."
Mhm.
So in this, we want to start out looking at our children in the sense of now, of course, school teaches them some things,
Mhm.
but school doesn't teach them how to know who they are, right?
Well, traditionally, no, but because the way our world is turning now, they're pushing what they're calling SEL, which is social emotional learning. And so,
Hmm.
in that, yes, they are teaching
More of that.
more of it now,
Okay.
but it's and they are pushing for teachers to do more of it now. But
And you
that's not
called it
across
you
the board.
called it social emotional learning,
Yes,
SEL.
SEL.
And is that similar to what we talk about when we're speaking of self-actualization?
Yes, they
Okay.
talk about that with Maslow's hierarchy of need.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely talk about that within that guideline as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so with self, if you want me to go into self actualization,
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
okay.
let's yeah, make sure
So
that we're
what how they do teach it in schools, but it's not the thing that we need to do. It can't stop in school. It's supposed to go into the home. So it's better when the parent understands it, the child understands it, and the teacher understands it, because then everybody is working together. So the basic definition when you think about self-actualization is um, the realization and fulfillment of one's talents and their potentials, especially like their drive and their need. And
mm-hmm.
that's and they have a present, there's a present need in everyone. And
Yeah.
so with Maslow's hierarchy of need, it's more like a pyramid. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so self actualization is at the top of it. And
Yes.
so then what we need to do is help the child understand at a younger age how to get there. And then as the adults in the situation, we have to assist them in getting there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at the bottom of that pyramid, it's the basic needs. So our physical needs, our basic needs. So first of all, air, okay, breathing,
Yeah.
food, water, sleep is so
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yeah.
Shelter,
Yeah.
homostasis. Now, when we say that, it's like you have to make sure that your child is growing at the stages that they're supposed to be growing at. And so some people feel like, when you take your child to the doctor as a pediatrician, because okay, 6 weeks, come back at 8 weeks, come back 2 months. But then it seems like when a kid gets to, you know, middle school, maybe parents are out of it because it's not an immediate need to take them to get them back in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to still make sure that the kids are being taken care of, and excretion. People don't think about that, but that goes with your food. You got to have a healthy food intake, or you won't be able to have that basic need, that physical need, taken care of. And then,
Yeah, and so what you just mentioned talked about though is really still at the survival level.
oh yes, all of that is at the bottom. I haven't even gotten to the middle. So
Right.
that and so as parents, that's something that's a checkpoint right there. Because are you saying, okay, those things that was just mentioned, can I put a check there? So
Mm-hmm.
then once you put a check there, then you go to that next level, because that was just at the bottom. The
Yes.
next level is safety. Okay. And that's just about, security. Does the parent have jobs? Are there resources? Do you understand how to get to the resources? I'm
Mm-hmm.
teaching the children about morality. What's right and wrong in your family? Even as a teacher, okay, and I like to be totally honest. So even as an African American, and I really call myself black, but even as a black woman, teaching black children, I still have a different more moral sense than they do because of what you learn in your home. And so, like I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, I'm from Harvey, okay? So I get it, but I didn't do that when I lived here. We saw it more as a community. We saw it more as, if I'm walking down the street, Miss Mary may see me and say, "Hey, Mecca, what are you doing? Go home."
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we have to kind of get back to. And that's still at the bottom with our safety and our family and our health. That's still at the bottom.
Wow. So safety is still inside of survival.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to move up a little bit higher, and that's with love and belonging. So that's when you have to teach the children about friendships in and outside of school, um, family, and boundaries. And then, some people don't understand, but it's even with sexual. and your intimacy, sexual intimacy.
Mhm.
So all of that plays a part in survival mode. We're still in survival mode. We're going higher,
Mhm.
but it's still so much more
Mhm.
because after that is self esteem. Because if you can't love yourself and the people around you show you love, then your self esteem is going to be off a little bit. So that's why it's so important to build these skills with children at an earlier age, because that'll help them with confidence, some achievements,
Mhm.
respecting other people, and respecting themselves. And at that point, now we're growing, okay, and we're almost there. We're still not at self actualization,
Yeah.
and at that point,
But we have a sense of it. I matter.
yes,
Yeah, you have a sense of I matter
yes,
because I can eat. If I need something, I know how to get it, or someone will get it for me.
yes.
I feel safe. I feel loved. Somebody makes sure that I'm good. But in our community, I bet there's a large percentage of children that don't get past that first level.
And that is what we are finding out in our schools, and that's why SEL is so important.
Yes.
And I am also taking a certification class. I'm going to start it next week
Mm-hmm.
for yoga and breathing for me to teach it as a teacher to
Yes.
students as well as SEL. So because they know that is on the bridge, that is a new buzzword.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so when those things, yeah, so when those things affect our children, so when they get to school, okay, so they come in from that trauma, because that's when they don't have that at home, that's trauma. Okay, so now
Mm-hmm.
they come in our building, and like at our school, they come into the lunchroom, and then you have to, it's immediate rule, you got to come in, be quiet, sit down, eat your breakfast, and then you have to go to your lockers, and then it's in quiet in the house. So they have no time to calm down. And it takes,
Well, they have no time either to for someone to check in with them because
right,
in the
right,
community that we're
yes,
growing up in
yes,
last night, somebody, you know, was hurt in some capacity, right?
wow,
Or a parent didn't come home,
yes,
or I couldn't get
yes,
in, or
right. So once they get to the school building, they still have all these rules, and it takes you from trauma, from the trauma you just mentioned.
yeah.
Somebody was hurt last night. My mother didn't come home. My brother didn't come home.
Mm-hmm.
Is he alive? They need 90 minutes to calm down from that. I had a student one time. He came into my classroom and he had been late like every day, and I used to be on him. And then one day he came right in. He said, "Listen, I don't even want to hear it. I know I'm late." So everybody was looking at me and they was like, "Wow, you let him snap on you like that and you didn't say anything." But I instantly felt his spirit. So I said, "I won't say anything. I let him go to his desk." He put his head down and I gave him at least 5 or 10 minutes. Then I went over and I put my hand on his back and I said, "Honey, I'm just glad you're here." And then I said, do you want to tell me what's going on?" He said, "I don't feel like talking right now." I said, "Take your time." And so then he came to my desk and he told me, like, my mom is mad at me. She was yelling at me. And my brother makes me late for school every day because blah blah blah, and I sleep on my couch. My sister came back home, she pregnant, her boyfriend is there, so my mom made me give up my bed. So it was like so much.
Yeah.
But I want him to do language arts. No, I don't. And so what I did was, I work with an amazing team. So what I did was, I texted the team and I said, "He's not feeling well and he just told me some troubling things. I'll tell you guys during lunch, but I'm going to keep him with me until he's ready to go to class." And everybody said, okay. And so that's amazing to work in a building where you have that, but you just have to think about it being maybe 3 teams that do it and then 6 that don't.
That is amazing. I mean, that is amazing. That is the school
Mm-hmm.
actually taking on this child's emotional needs, and the parent is doing whatever they have to do to survive instead of inside of all of those things going on at home.
Yes,
And
yes.
so this child, what grade was that?
8th grade.
Eighth grade.
And the brother was a 4th grader. And his school started later than ours. Well, actually, they didn't get in trouble as much for being late as our kids did because we're in the middle school.
Yes.
So that's he was making him late every day. So what I told him to do is stop checking in the office and just come straight to me. Because then you got the secretary yelling at, oh, you late every day and blah, blah, blah. You ain't getting no grab and go. So they were literally telling him he was late every day. He wasn't going to get a grab and go.
Which is food?
Yes. And legally, and I know this is nothing that I haven't even told the superintendent, and this person is no longer working there.
Mm-hmm.
But um it was like the at the point where the grab and go is legally to 10:30 a.m. But there were students that was being late. There was some students that liked the grab and go lunch better breakfast better than the breakfast. So they were intentionally being late. I get that. But
Wow.
this young man wasn't doing that. And he was even telling me one day he didn't even eat that night because his mom was mad at him about something and she made him go to bed.
Wow. You know, I really, my heart really just in that story really goes out to that young man.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, how did his day end up after you?
Oh, it ended up very well. He was smiling by lunchtime. He only stayed with me like half of the next class. So he came to my desk. He said, I'm ready to go to the class, and thank you. And I said, you're welcome. Anytime, let me know. And I used to give students my phone number, but it's like a state law or something now where we
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
So I do have this um, app called Talking Points.
Yes.
So they're able, it's not my phone number. So
Yes.
it still can text me and it can email me. So even though it's after hours, all conversations are being going to my district email. So
Yeah.
the district gave me permission to use that with parents and students.
Yes.
So I do that.
That is so amazing. That I yeah, I'm loving that you have your pulse. You have a pulse on
Yeah,
real children and
yeah,
what they're dealing with. You
hmm,
know, because my pulse have always been about the children that I deal with, and then the challenge that I had growing up in a traumatic environment,
yeah,
you know, and that's what made me uh, really fall in love with teachers. And I always tell people, I say, I know I could never be a teacher at school, but I've always supported teachers. I've always participated. I was always the parent at the school because I knew what teachers went through. But teachers literally saved my life. And that's what you're doing. You
yeah. Thank
know,
you.
yeah, and that's why children have such a profound relationship with teachers,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
So now, how do we teach children life skills, you know, because even in that situation that was going on, there are no skills being given. How do we teach life skills at an earlier age, and what would some of those skills look like?
Well, first of all, basic chores teach life skills. That goes back to your morality and the things that you're doing. You're teaching them how to do things. As an example, I'll go right into a couple of examples that I wanted to share. Um, when my daughter was in 5th grade, we went through a divorce. My boys are twins, and they were only babies at the time. So Maya learned those skills by having to live through an experience. And
Mm,
so, I in this particular story, when I was in school, because I went back to school, I started over. I had to go back to school. I was in school on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. from 6:30 to 10:30. So that means that I have to run from my job, pick up the boys if their dad didn't, or right, if their dad didn't, pick up the boys, drop them off at home, which is to my daughter and to my niece. My niece is 21 at the time. And so she was forced to learn skills on how to help take care of babies, on
Because
how
how much older was your daughter than
was
the twin?
she was in fifth grade when I had them. So she was yeah, she was about 9 or 10.
Yeah,
Um
that's a good age to learn.
yeah, well no, she when I had them she was 9 or 10. Then she was probably about going on 11 when all of this was going on.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my niece was, you know how she's 21, so she's on the phone, she's on the phone. And so I Maya, I came home and when I walked in the house, Maya says, "Ma, you want me to make you some food?" I said, "Yeah." So she gave me a plate of spaghetti. And I mean, it was beautiful. It was so good. And so she was like, "Do you like it?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "I made that." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, I made this spaghetti." And I said, "You cooked the ground," because at that time I was still eating ground beef. I said, "You cooked the ground beef by yourself?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what was, your cousin doing?" She was talking on the phone, and my brothers kept saying, "Hungry, hungry."
Oh.
She said, "I was tired of giving them snacks." So I said, "I'm gonna get the box out, read what it says." And she was like, "I just remember you being at the stove and you let your children, so this is natural. You let your children come to the stove with you and you cook with your children. So
Mm-hmm.
then when they have that need, when you're not home, they're gonna say, 'Let me do it.'" I have a girlfriend, I see her on Facebook. Her daughter is probably in third grade and she goes to the stove and cook. And I mean, she makes beautiful food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about starting at a younger age, having them help with chores, having them get up in a chair, you know, or get a step stool or stand by the stove and tell them what you're doing, and you're taking them to through the steps. So basically, being a model is the best way to teach your children those skills that they need.
Yeah, skills and then being safe too, because
Yeah.
there's certain, I remember doing the same thing with my children, but
Hmm.
they had to be tall enough
Yep.
to be able, like
Yes.
to actually so that I do know an incident where a child was trying to look in a pot and he pulled the
Hmm.
hot pot over him,
Oh
and
yes. No. No. No.
so
So you
there's
don't do
certain,
that.
yeah, you have to be, mindful.
Mindful.
But
Hmm.
then again, I do know that a lot of parents probably do too much because they're not allowing their children to have some of those added responsibilities and life skills, when actually, if you divvy it up and look at what's, the appropriate age, for them to do something, that would make a difference.
Now, I don't, I have real resources to talk about, but literally, if you Google, I can pick up my phone right now and Google what is the appropriate age for chores. It is going to start at baby.
Yep. Yep.
It's going to start at baby
Yeah.
for appropriate things to do.
Like even teaching your children at an early age to pick up behind themselves,
Yes,
pick up your toys instead of always going back and cleaning up behind them.
yes.
Pick
My
up.
grandson, he fixes his clothes. Like, so say if you put him down and you know how you try to fix it, he say, "No, no." And he shimmy himself and pull him straight down. This dude is so independent.
Yes.
It's like this morning I was feeding him and I'm like, "Oh no." And he's spilling stuff. And I'm like, "Oh," he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, I have to let him do it." But it drives me nuts because I'm like, "No, you're not even two yet." But he does it. He
Well,
loves it.
that's about the New Earth children. We're going to talk about that
Oh
on
yeah,
Friday because
yeah.
they come
They
in. They're
got it.
like,
They
my
got it.
parents are busy. I got to
Yes,
be
they
able to
got
do
it.
some things.
Yeah, he takes off this morning. He literally, I mean, last night he literally took off his shirt and his shorts, and he walked them into their laundry room and put them in the basket.
Yes.
I said, and then he comes
Okay.
back and stand at the tub as I'm running the water and everything, and he's talking about, oh, then he thinks about, oh. my toys, so he know he has to go in there and get the toys out of his room that he puts in a tub. It was I was like, he really knows his schedule.
Yes. Yes, and again, that's the new earth children. They've come
Yeah.
here ready. You know, I was thinking about. I like to do life skills
Mhm.
and learning skills in the
Right.
summertime with my children.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, so you know, when they got to be a certain age, which was 8 years old, it was like, okay, it's time for you to learn how to do your own laundry. You don't have to
Oh,
do my laundry. You don't have to do anything. Just your clothes.
oh yeah.
So I taught them, you know, when I got 8, how to do their own laundry, and then the next summer they had to learn how to wash their own linen. And
Yeah.
then after that, it's like, you know, when you're in junior high, you have to do the house laundry. Now it's like anything in the basket you have to
Wash it.
wash. And then there were rules, like if somebody has laundry in there, you can't go and take it out and put it on. If you're gonna take it out, you have to fold it up.
Wow,
In
that was
spite of that,
awesome.
yeah, that's teaching community.
Yes, and that's
It's
teaching
or
communication
patience,
skills.
right? If
Yes,
you have to take it out, it has to be folded.
that's
Or you just wait until they come and get it. Or you go and ask them, can they get their clothes? But, you know, teaching that type of community is something they're going to use as adults.
yeah,
And that's what we have to start thinking about, is because children are going to be adults much longer than they're going to be young people.
yeah. So that yeah, starting it early. So a way that we can there's ways to teach responsibility, and that's what people.
Yes.
But what people don't really understand is it's really just about like how you're saying. So I about the way that you live, and
Yeah.
so it's like the way that you set teach responsibility, you set limits. You
Mm-hmm.
say no. It's okay to say no to your children. You
Yes.
hold them accountable for the things that they do. Um, Establish and enforce rules. It's like set expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Encourage them to give back in some type of way. It's really, really good to have them go and do community service projects
Oh
at an
my
early
goodness.
age.
Well, and you know what else is also important? You know, I didn't see this till later, but you know how we make such a big deal out of our children's birthday,
Yeah.
but we let them get away with not acknowledging our birthday, or there's just like, oh,
Oh,
happy birthday. Where it's
oh,
like
oh
now
no, ma'am.
everybody has to make something. So you don't you or save your money and buy a gift.
Oh,
But your grandparents, you
hmm,
will write a letter, you will
yeah,
send a card, you will
yeah,
plant a flower, you
yeah,
will do, and it has to be their energy, not mother go out and buy a gift and sign a name on the
yeah,
card. The
yeah,
child has to sacrifice for the acknowledgement or well being of another so that they can feel that same joy that it feels to give. See, they know the joy of receiving, but there's so much joy in giving that
yeah,
we actually have them miss out on because we're like, oh, they're just kids. And then we wonder when they grow older and be like, oh, they're selfish or they're thoughtless. Well, no, they just weren't taught that, like you saying, give back.
yeah, yeah. So, and they also, I've noticed it's like people don't assign chores and
Yep.
make sure that they get done and then like setting. So I tell my kids like if I set a goal, if you set a goal or I talk to you about setting a goal, now where's the follow through? I'm gonna check back in 2 weeks to see if you what you've done
Right.
towards that goal, and then here's the consequences when you don't have it done. And sometimes the consequences don't come from me, so they come from life.
Yes. And
You didn't follow through on this. Now you don't have your ID. Now you don't have this, and so now you don't get the job.
yep.
Okay,
And
so
that's better to let life, because I was talking to some parents last week, and I was telling them that I try to stay away from the punishment reward system
hmm,
because that's more of the master slave tradition, right?
okay,
So there is, I like what you talked about. There's circumstances from life that shows up,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I would tell people if I put my child on punishment, that meant that I was on punishment too because I had to be home to watch them to make sure they stayed home. And I just wasn't willing to do that, because I had my life too. So I would ask my children, oh, okay, this is what happened. So what do you think you need to actually, what do you need to do to make this right?
Yeah.
What do you need to do to put this in place? Or what do you need to do to check yourself to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Hmm.
And let them participate in that conversation so that they're learning from the circumstance.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I used to do, I was very firm. We're leaving at 7:15. You might get a one time, okay, 7:16, okay, yeah. The next time I'm gone. It's 7:15. I'm gone.
Yep.
And
And,
now guess
and
what?
and people think that parents are so mean for being that way.
Well, but you know what? Here's the rule. That bus is not going to wait on you. That train is not going to wait on you. That airplane. And then people think, oh, life is hard. Well, when you learn how to move in time, right? And you have a sense of timing and integrity, life
Hmm.
shows up just the way you do.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to teach. We don't want to teach children, like, oh, it's okay to be late, like the young man who always had to wait for his brother.
Yeah.
There needed to be some standards set, and I get it, but he needed to be able to win too.
And he was very, very intelligent. And I'm not saying that, how you have the kid that take the test and it's like their scores are just off the charts. That
Mm-hmm.
was his vocabulary when he would speak and write, his vocabulary was just beautiful. He was able to like help all the kids with the adjectives and
Wow.
things, words and things like that. But he said that when his grandmother was alive, that they would sit up and play with his mom. That they would sit up and play. His family, his whole family, like they like to sit and play games, and they play
Yes.
word games a lot. So
Well, that's great because that is something that will stick with him the rest
yeah,
of his life.
I was
You
just
know.
you just read my mind. I was saying he did have foundation. And
Yes.
once he gets I did speak, talk with the social worker with him, but he wasn't connecting with her at all. So he just, stayed with me. I'm gonna try to reach out to him. Um,
What grade would he be in now?
I really think that he was in my graduating class of this year,
Oh, good.
or he may have been the high school class. I may have had him for I'll have to ask my son. I got to think about my son being in because next year my son my son will be a senior. He'll graduate next school year.
Hmm.
And he was in my class. My son was a junior. I don't think that. Yeah, I think he was in school with him. So he will probably be a junior this year, and he'll graduate high school.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, that would be great to check in on him. So now I want to get back to the self actualization, and I want to ask you about some of the tools that we use in coaching to
Yeah.
assist our young people in becoming self-actualized. So what are some of the tools that you've used in helping children to become getting a clearer idea of them knowing who they are and their destiny or their
Well,
so-called destiny?
Well, I do the real destiny and figure out using their birthday who they
Okay.
are as with their destiny. Is actually everybody has a card, and you're very very familiar with that because you're the one who taught me.
Right.
But
Yes.
everybody has a card, and I really believe that if they knew about their destiny at a
Hmm.
younger age, they could understand why things are happening the way that they are.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the cards? Can you tell us so that parents can get an idea of what you're talking
Okay.
about?
So basically, with the Destiny cards, everybody has a card that match them, and those are the cards, the regular. there in my bag. If I would have had them out, I could have
Yeah.
shown. But you know, your ace of spades. I am a queen of diamond. So that means that because and you base it on your birthday, you don't even need the year, but you base it on your birthday. So I was born January 15th. So anybody born on January 15th and other dates as well will
Mm-hmm.
be the queen of diamond. And then that lets me know and helps me understand who I am and some of the paths that I'll go on. And that can be broken down to the day because the cards are separated, throughout our year, if that makes sense. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's 7 different okay, this is too much. So basically it's
Right.
365 days in a year. It's about 364 the way the cards run. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so every day you'll get a card. And so it basically tells you who you are, and it can break you down to the day, to 50, the next 52 days of what's going to go on. You may have a different card, and you base that too, like it connects with all the planets as well.
Yes,
So,
and it's so wonderful because just like you're a queen of diamond, I'm a queen of spade, and had I
oh, wow.
known that, right, had I known that at a younger age,
Yes,
it would have made such a difference because I didn't understand why I was given so much responsibility at a younger age,
right.
but the way the
That's
cards are set up, the queen of spade is an elder. So can you imagine being born an
an
elder?
elder, and
I,
I'm a
I,
nurse.
right. I feel
Yeah,
bad for you were born an adult. I
yes,
feel bad for my family now. At first it was
yes.
like, oh, they didn't do nothing for me. Now it's like, oh, I get it.
Right, because you were born, I'm truly a nurturer. I'm a mother. That
Yeah.
is the mother card. It's like, so that's who I am. But and this is just
Well,
me.
all queens are the mother card, just so you
Yes,
know.
but but I will understand why I've had numerous marriages. So
well,
maybe I could have
well, the
been
queen of
scared of it.
diamond baby has high values too. Just so
I know,
is so you know, but
and I'm a gold. So
having
hey,
having that understanding is
yeah.
crucial.
Yeah, it is. And then when you okay, another way to look at it other than the destiny is like your life path.
Your
And so
numerology, is that
yes,
numerology?
numerology,
Yeah.
that's numerology of your life path. And you do use for to know your life path number, you do use the year you were born. Now, I can tell you this, and when I say you can Google things, I'm not saying it to be lazy or rude, but I just say like our phones are always connected to us. So
Yes.
everything that we need is at the tip of our fingers. Now,
Yes.
you do need the life coaches to come and talk to you about it and help you and guide you.
And
So
decipher and get,
and
yeah.
decipher
But you can get
and
that
but
information
you can get
yourself.
it,
That's right.
yeah. And so it is to let so of course when I learned that through you, thank you for the information. I'm so ever grateful, seriously, because it like literally changed my entire life. It put me back on the path that was already given to me anyway.
Yeah.
um where it put me back on my life purpose. But when I ran my grandsons, I was able to see that this boy is so special and different things like that. It's literally in his life path that he needs to be protected because he is
Yes.
so loving that
Yes.
he is. So this and he is. And it's so funny because I was driving, so he doesn't like to be in his car seat. So I'm driving and he's saying, ow, ow, ow. So I'm saying, oh, you're okay, you okay. But he keeps putting his hand up. So when I stopped to like get gas or something, he said, ow, ow. I said, okay, well, let me see what happened. So he literally wanted me to kiss it. And once I kissed it, he didn't
He
say
was
ow
kind.
anymore. So
Wow.
he is such a loving little baby.
Yeah.
But he's a 11 and a 2. And
Mhm.
I love that he was an 11.
Master teacher. Yes.
Yes. Okay. And
Hmm.
so I'm like, it's so important. So I tell him those type of things, because he has to know who he is and understand it. And as parents, you have to know who your child is because based on your destiny number, and your life path number, it can help you with the relationship that you have with your child.
Well, you know, we actually teach in our Dower parenting course, we actually teach parents from the context that our children came to remind us of who we are. And so,
Baby.
and not that they have to, you know, they're our teachers, and I call our children our master teachers, and not
Yeah.
that they sit up and teach us, but
Hmm.
if we observe who they are and who they have us be, like if we surrender to the role of taking care and, like you said, protecting our children, because
Yeah.
we've gotten away from protecting our children. We
Hmm.
literally have given so much attention to making money that we don't protect the children.
Nope.
And that's why we have a different set of children coming through
Yep.
also, because they realize, wait a minute, I'm on my own, so I have to help my parent to remember who they are because
And
they're not on their game.
yeah, and it's so funny that you're saying that, because literally, you know how I said, my daughter took a big part and she basically raising. She literally raised my sons, because I did that school schedule for a long time. She was in fifth. I didn't really finish school because I was working too until she was a junior in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
when I tell you about her picking them up, while now at this time, I think she was a freshman in high school, she would pick them up from school. It was across the street from, um, no, it was down the street from her school.
Mm-hmm.
No, this time, no, 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 no. This is where they were still in daycare. The boys were still in daycare, so she would ride the bus from her high school to their daycare in Dalton. So that means she got to get off the bus. She would get off the bus, pick them up, and then get back on the bus and ride it to Indiana. She had to get off the bus with two little boys that's probably 4 or 5 years old,
Right.
walk across a parking lot in the dark, because you know in the winter it gets dark about 5:30, 6 o'clock,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
and then go in the house, start dinner. And she did that. She never complained. She
Now you know I
never,
want to know what her card is.
oh, child, she
because
never,
not all, see, that's the difference in knowing your child's, you know, because we even use astrology, their sun sign, their
yes,
moon sign, and their ascending, because
yes,
not every child can do that just
nope,
because they're your child and
nope,
they're older. You
nope.
can't put that level. You have to know the child
Hmm.
before you put that level of responsibility on them. And so it behooves the parent to actually, you know, find you or other life coaches that practice these methods of knowing your life path so that they can help you figure out which child can take this level of leadership because
Yeah,
every child is not designed for that.
yeah. And mom, and so then what I did, I knew she was going to school, so I was like,
Right,
well, I'm like, well, she's gonna go to school. I knew she was gonna go away to college, so I was like,
right.
I have to start getting the boys used to being in the house by
And
themselves and
doing it
doing.
on their own.
So I
Exactly.
started them at 5 years old. And so I told them, I said, sit on the couch, don't open the door, don't come to the door, and
Mhm.
your sister and I, we will be right back. So we go and we walk away from the door and we go sit in the car. My son, Mr. Funny Man, honey, he opens up the door and says, why y'all didn't pull off?
This is one of the 5-year-olds.
Yes. And so I'm so heated. I am livid. I am like I'm on fire. And so I go in and his brother is still, he's like, I told him no, but he is still sitting in his spot. I told him no. I told him don't do it, Ma. He didn't listen. So
Wow.
he's like, but you didn't pull off. I said, I didn't say that. I said, how did you know I didn't pull off? I said, because I said sit on the couch. I turned the movie on. You were supposed to sit there and just watch it and don't get up. So I was just testing them. I wasn't trying to
Yeah.
leave, but I felt like I had to start to see who, what, who's gonna do
Oh
something.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's how, you know, and that literally is test. You know, we're tested like that by the universe all the time. Before I
Yeah.
can take you to the next level, I have to test you to see if you can follow this small little step.
Yes. 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 And and he always has been the one to press, and he's still pressing, but it's all good because they are both on track to graduate, and that's all at this.
Now and then, now here's the other thing, right? Because again, when we look at those destiny cards, we know that
Hmm.
the hearts are
Hmm.
the infants and the young people, right? And then we know that the
Ah,
clubs are the young people, the teenagers and the young adults. The diamonds are the adults, are the
I'm a
grown.
diamond.
When
I
people
always
say
been
I'm
grown.
grown
I
AF,
always
those
been
are the
grown.
adults, right? I was born grown,
I was
right?
born grown, baby.
Right. And then you have the spades, which are the elders. So can imagine if a parent would take the time to find out, oh, where's my child? They would be able to figure out
I
what
think I do.
what responsibility, what chore, what thing, what child would be able to take on.
Yeah,
And it
Maya.
would make life so much easier.
Yeah, yeah. And but listen here. It's not just that easy because
No?
I have twins. And
Yes.
so
And they're so different.
they
Yeah.
are both the same card.
Yeah.
They are both the
But they were born at different times.
yeah, and you read my mind.
Yeah.
And but it was really only a minute apart.
Yeah.
But that 1 minute could have been you more going towards Jupiter. you know.
Yes.
So um but they still have their own set of ideas. So even when you have twins, you still have to make sure. And I have always allowed them to be different. I have
Yeah.
always allowed them to be their own person, because remember, to know thyself is about you
Your
and your person.
uniqueness.
Yes, it's
Mm.
not about um your brother because he's your twin. I've
Yeah.
never did that. My mom, she used to love dressing them just alike, and that used to drive them nuts. So then she switched from just alike to the same
Similar.
outfit but different colors. They were
Mhm.
like, no, okay, none of it.
Because they have their own unique expression.
Yes, yes. Hmm.
Now, so now we've looked at the Maslow's needs hierarchy and helping our children move to self actualization.
Hmm.
We've looked at chores and the importance of having children to learn responsibility and doing things and
Yeah.
contributing to the family. We've
Hmm.
also talked about the importance of using, systems like the destiny card and numerology and astrology to get to know your child and their purpose and what they're here for and their strengths and weaknesses, right?
Right. Hmm.
Now, even with all of that, that does not ensure that we will keep our children aware and safe from drugs
Oh,
and alcohol.
now when I think about that part and how I have to go back to the morality and still too back into the home. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So um in our home, there I never in my family, I never saw women drinking. And I know people, so I never saw women drinking. We knew that sometimes like my uncles would have beer like in orange can pops, because my grandfather didn't drink orange pop, and then he wouldn't pick up one of their beers. Now
Oh,
people
this
say
was them. Wait, this was them sneaking the beer.
yes. So even though they were grown men, they
They
didn't drink
still
in front
drank
of my
orange pop.
grandfather. Yeah, they didn't drink in front of my grandfather. So to me, that led me to believe about not drinking. And so that also made me know that, okay, well, I'm not seeing women drink. And then also it was letting me know that um it was like a respect thing, that you don't drink and use drugs and stuff like that in front of your parents. But my grandmother takes the cake, because my grandmother told us, if you smoke cigarettes, you gonna smoke them marijuana reefers, and then you're gonna be a crackhead. So and you're gonna get fired from your job. And let me tell you really quickly, my uncle, I was probably, maybe I'll say, because at this time we were living with my grandparents. I was raised, my dad died 25 days before I was born. So I was raised at my grandparents' house up until like 8 or 9.
Mm.
So with my mom, my uncle was still living there too. And he literally, my grandmother was, her sister came over, which is my great auntie, and she's like, Raymond and Gap. Oh, I should have said his name, but he didn't get fired from his job. And so, being little kids, I'm probably like 6. We thought he was caught on fire, so we snuck in his room and we lifted up his bed sheet. He like, "What y'all doing?" We like, "We thought you was on fire." Oh my gosh, he said, I'm not on fire. I got fired from my job. That mean I can't work there no more. So we like, oh, so we thinking like, okay, she just told us yesterday, if you cigarettes, you're gonna be smoking them reefers, and then you're gonna be a crackhead. So we like, don't do none of that, because you're gonna get fired from your job too. So we like, up until I was like 17 years old, I literally thought that if somebody was smoking weed, they was gonna be a crackhead. I
That is
promise
so
you.
funny.
So in my family, we've always looked at drug and alcohol that it's not something that you do as children. Now, going outside of that, when I went into other people's homes, um, it I would see still adults drinking and stuff like that, but it was only like with my family. When we were growing up, we didn't just go over people's house. You just wasn't in people's houses and stuff like that, and we never partied with our adults. So if they were having like a serious party, like New Year's Eve and stuff like that, we were all the kids was at the auntie house
Oh
that
yeah, somebody was keeping the children.
the church people, or we was going to church, and stuff like that. So hey, I just believe that now with what's going on in the world today and community, and how I help my children not partake in drugs and alcohol. First of all, I just be honest with them and let them know it's very dangerous for your body. I'm a healthy person anyway, and talk about like healthy foods and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
let them know it's very dangerous for your body. And then you have a mom that's, if you throwing up with something because you drank, because you're drunk, well, go ahead and throw up, because you're gonna clean it up too. So
Mhm.
my kids never really tried me. Now, have they probably sipped some liquor or something? Yeah, I
Mhm.
think the boys have admitted that, with friends. But if they were to come in drunk or something like that, I just wouldn't. I'm not gonna help you, because you shouldn't be drinking until you're 21. Now, if I think you're gonna go um and pass out or something, then maybe I'll take you to the emergency room, because I don't want you to die and then I'm in trouble, because I ain't going to jail for nobody.
Right, right, right.
So
That and that is very interesting because I actually grew up in an environment where I had people, my closest cousins. One cousin was hooked on heroin, and
oh,
I would see her in the bathroom, of literally just shooting up, and
uh-huh.
needle still in her arm. She passing out, and I'm concerned
Right.
because she looked like she about to fall off the toilet,
Mhm.
and then you just see. I saw so much that it created an observation for me. It's like
Okay.
I knew that I did not want to be that type of person.
Yeah.
So it was, but it also had me start to look at what created that type of person. I
Mm.
Yeah, right. I started studying like what would create, how do you create, and that's what really made me so present to why it's important to take care of children, because it is the environment,
Yeah.
but it is also, I had Karen aunts, Aunt Blanche and Aunt Eleanor. They didn't live with me, and didn't, but they came by maybe once a week
Yeah.
to check on us, and they didn't have children, but you had those people like that had standards, and like you said,
Yes.
a level of morality, and
Yeah.
they were different. So even when I came home from college, I would go visit them, and just I would just, can I do something for you? And anytime I did something for them, and I didn't want money, but they would give me something. You know,
Baby,
they would.
and don't turn it down because that's
No,
what we
no.
know.
No, what Capricorns knew, Capricorns were always very industrious. We're
Yes.
very industrious,
So I want turning it down anyway.
Right. So, but that, I think it's so important because we really want to bring a standard to our children,
Yeah.
so that they're choosing. And I know that it helps when we can have them get to know who they are through the destiny card, the life path, and the astrology. When you can know that, it gives you such a strong foundation of that you matter,
Yeah. And it gives them power.
and it gives them power.
It gives them, that is the power that they need. That is the power that they need
And
to know.
then they won't choose to go that path.
Yeah, because they will know that there's so much and their body is so important.
Yes.
Even like what I'm talking about, like the healthiness and, and feeling like, oh, I'm an athlete. So if I do that, then it's not going to help me, and it's going to go against what I'm, trying to do on that higher level. And so that is really important for them to know, that their body is so awesome and important, and you're going to need it, in your later years. So if you start using drugs and alcohol at a young age, you're gonna look 55 and you're 30.
Right. And then your body is going to actually not support you because you're
Mhm.
poisoning. You're putting
Oh
poison.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and it can only live for so long. But besides alcohol, and I know we're going to get into this. I believe tomorrow we're going to be talking self care with Dr. T
Hmm.
and Marshawn. So
Yes,
we get more into that. But that whole idea of properly taking care of the body with nutrition,
yes.
has a lot. It goes a long way so that you're choosing, making better choices for yourself.
Self-care is part of self-actualization, because when you get to your highest self, that's at the highest point of it, as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you get there, when you're at that top peak, you care about yourself so much, you are going to do self-care. A way that you can get your children there too is like having them do daily affirmations.
Yeah.
And the daily affirmations have to be something about, one of them needs to be something about self, and how you love, how they love themselves or what they see in themselves. um when you hear your child doing some negative talk, always, oh, my soul, when you hit, the first thing they say is something negative about themselves or something like that. So you have to learn how to literally stop them and have them, what can you say different, have them change that to a positive way.
Yes.
And then so that can help them to replace that, and so then they'll be able to start replacing it themselves, and they won't talk negatively about themselves.
Yeah, and that's so cool because you can do that with stickies. You can just write, little
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
I love myself.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
my life, and just stick it
yeah,
and just say, what does
yeah.
that say?
Yep.
Just
Oh
get
yeah,
just get
that's
them
very
playing with
powerful.
it. Yes,
Very
on the
powerful.
mirror in the bathroom,
Yep.
on their door, on the
Mhm.
front door
Powerful.
when they're gonna walk out or something.
Mhm.
Because that self talk, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you hear this a lot all week, but that self talk can really make a difference in how children are responding at the level of self esteem.
Yeah, and when you, it's also when you're teaching self-esteem, and people don't even think about this. When you're teaching self-esteem, you have to teach them how to advocate for themselves.
Yes.
So they have to be able to advocate for themselves and ask for help when needed. Okay,
Hmm.
be able to speak up, and even acknowledge their fears.
Right.
And this was so good because, like, you know my grandson, he's learning how to talk. So, he literally can say, I can't.
Mm.
And he said, I can't. And I said, wait a minute, grandson, where did you get that from? Because you can. So say, I can. And so then his mom always say, you don't have to whine. You have to say, I need help. And so we say, so, and then, it drives me nuts though, because, I be ready to assist. She's like, no, he has to say, I need help first. So he's like, and she's like, say, I need help. Just relax. If you relax and just say, and she's doing all this, and I'm like, oh, let me help my grandson. And she looking at me like, now you know you wouldn't have helped me. So
Right. You
right. So I have to calm
That's
myself down. And I'm like, just never let the boy do it. And so he said, I need help. And I'm like, yes, I get the help now. But she's even doing
so
that. Not
powerful.
even to
Yes.
school
My
yet.
daughter is the same way. She's like, no, let him do it. Or and
Mhm.
I'm like you, I'm like, can I just jump in there? No.
Please. But so it's just like we wanted to teach them. So now they have to teach their child. And we have to, as grandparents, we have to just say, okay, when they're with us. But I do shoot, I said I need to do more like her because it actually makes it easier because then, I could get to the next thing that we need to do without,
Faster.
but she does talk to him a lot. She does talk to him a lot and explain she does talk to him a lot and explain what's going on a lot, so I believe that really helps.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That go ahead. Go ahead.
But I was going to also say like quiet time. Some people don't understand
Ugh.
how having a child, like I would tell my kids, when you get out of school, when you first come in, you need to make you a snack, and then you have up until 4 o'clock to do to just be yourself, just be by yourself, because they would get home around 2:50 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
You get an hour just to be yourself, make you a snack within that time. Then you're gonna start homework, right? And then before bed, you may watch a little TV, but then after that, it's just quiet at the tub
Mm-hmm.
until you can
Mm-hmm.
drift off to sleep. Because so I never put my kids to sleep, like let them watch TV till they fall asleep and all of that. No, so they did have scheduled quiet time. And that's really important to teach a child because as they grow older, they'll be able to learn how to calm themselves and center themselves when they're having a hectic schedule.
Exactly, and not be so busy in the head because
Mhm.
what we fail to realize about television is that it's a programming device.
Mm,
So if you have your child going to sleep with the television on all night, that television is feeding their brain. And of course television has become so vile in attacking our children and making our children consumers, high consumers. Our children wake up, hey, I need you to buy me this. Or
oh,
I know
child.
children that would take the phone and go and buy something and
Yep.
and just grin like it's funny.
Hmm. And I wanted to make a point, give an example on the going to bed with the TV and things on. My son goes to bed with his game on. So sometimes he is, or now they have these kids, they sit up, they don't even play the game anymore. They sit up and watch other people play the game.
Yes.
So it's hours of game plan. So
Yes.
he's telling me, "Oh ma, yeah, I had a nightmare." I said, "Dude, of course you're gonna have a nightmare of shooting and killing and all that. That's what was playing while you were sleeping, honey. So you
Yes.
have to stop playing that stuff." And it really, I was reading someone I know did a sleep study and he posted it on his page. And the doctor said that you really should not use drugs or alcohol or watch TV, especially the news,
Yep.
2 hours before you go to sleep.
Yep. Yep.
And that is something that people they do. They go to bed watching the news, they wake up watching the news.
Yes.
And it keeps them in that negative
On
mind.
edge and in that negative
Yep.
frequency. Well, this week we actually have specials running on our Master Force. We have the student visualization for academic achievement. They'll be able to find that on our website. We also have I Am Jams that they can download for their children to
Yeah.
listen to. But the student visualization, we found, and I created that for my oldest son, who's now 43. I actually created that for him when he was 12. And
Wow.
we just played it for him as he slept. I put it on repeat, and that was before, you had the audios. We had to do the cassettes, you
Yeah.
know, and put it on repeat all night. But it takes about 21 days
Yeah.
for you to create a new habit.
Yeah.
So when you're programming these affirmations, you're putting them on tape and you play it. And so if you play this affirmation for about 30 days, you're going to see your child change how they participate in school.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
because in this audio, we're looking at homework, we're looking at being safe, we're looking at leadership, we're looking at the magic pen. So there's so many, but yeah, we're gonna make that available to the parents that watch this and the children too, because they can go to the website and download it as well. You know,
Awesome. That's
so
great. I
yeah,
think I think that also helps with like the growth mindset.
yes,
So, when you have a growth mindset, it's like it doesn't matter what's going on, you're gonna find a way to get it taken care of. You'll find, and you can also like find different routes, see it to the end, different things like that. And so um all of that is important because if they're sleeping at night and they're hearing all these positive things, it's
yeah,
gonna also help and give them, when it's time to fight, that growth mindset a kick in.
it
So
will
when that
kick in.
problem is hard,
Yeah,
when their friend is not talking to them today, when mom is having a bad day, so she came in and she's grouchy
yeah.
and yelling. When
Yeah,
dad may have lost his job, they'll be able to understand what they need to do to help. And like you said, that's community.
that's right. And that actually helps to move them to being self actualized at a younger
Hmm.
age. And
Hmm.
that's what we want to do because if you look at other cultures, you hear, how people, their children can take on responsibility at 12 and 13,
Yeah.
in a different way than our children can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And still excel in life and excel in school. So we want to begin to provide, those tools to give them the possibility of doing that.
Oh yeah. So some of those things parents can do is encourage persistence.
Hmm.
So it's like, I know you talked about you didn't really do the reward consequence with your children.
But I didn't do punishment. I didn't do reward and punishment. Right.
Okay, you didn't do reward and punishment.
They did consequence.
They did consequences, okay. But they're saying like you encourage your child to be persistent. So just don't just say, oh, okay, well, I'm successful, that's it. You got to go ahead and keep on doing that. Then teach them how to deal with failure. Some people, they don't understand and know how to talk to their children about failure. Sometimes if you go back and you say, did you see yourself all the way through it? Did you ask for help? Did you do this? Did you do that? And when you've done all those things and you still didn't, just like my son, one of my sons, he was on the basketball team, and by sophomore year, probably in eighth grade, I told him, I said, listen, honey, um, I'm not trying to be rude. I said, but you know that you want to be more than a basketball scholarship. You want to focus on your academic scholarship because you are stronger mentally, academically than you are in basketball.
Hmm.
And he was like, oh, Ma, I said, no, 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 no. I believe in you. I will pay for practices and stuff like that. But I'm looking at the other boys and I'm looking at your skill, honey. And I'll take some responsibility for that as well because he wasn't on AAU the entire time.
Hmm.
And so I said, I need you to, really think about that. So make sure you go into high school real strong. He was already a strong kid academically. I said, but make sure you do that. And plus he goes to Marian Catholic. So, that's a good school to put
Yes.
on your
Yes.
college transcripts, I
Right.
mean, applications or whatever. So by sophomore year, he says, Mom, he said, I'm not trying now next year. I said, why? He was like, cuz I ain't riding the bench for nobody. He was like, no, that was sickening my sophomore year. He was like, they not gonna play me. He said, and I'm not gonna leave my school to get
Yeah.
played. He said, so I'ma just do like you said. I said, good. And he already had like a 3 point something great GPA.
Hmm.
So, and he's in honors classes. So he did it, but I was so glad he was able to see
That he could see
himself
it, and you planted the seed. You planted
and that
the
he
seed. Mm-hmm.
and that he was able to recognize it, and
That's
that well, he was brave enough to say it,
With the
and
courage, that makes a difference.
yes,
Now, before we end, because we are approaching 9 o'clock. Can you believe that?
yay.
Before I want to talk a little bit because most of our children do have to deal with the and
Mm.
gun and violence in our community. How do we raise our children or our young people to feel safe or to not at least not be afraid with so much violence and gun violence guns being around us?
Well, first of all, if you're teaching the child about their destiny, their
Mm-hmm.
purpose, their life path, the energy that they're pulling is positive energy, and I
Yeah.
just believe that. So I've been in houses, and I've lived and had my car unlocked in Harvey, Gary, different places, our house unlocked when we lived in Gary, and people are like, "Oh, you crazy?" I'm like, "No, we just have a really belief system that we're safe because we don't have people that want to kill us.
Yes,
We're
I
good
love
people."
that you say that. The belief system has so
Belief
much to
system.
do.
However, like more people now are into teaching their children actually how to shoot. Okay. So
Wow.
it's some people that's teaching their children at a young age about gun safety.
Mm-hmm.
They have videos. When we were growing up, we would have Officer Friendly come to our school to,
Right,
to
right.
teach us about gun safety and all of those things. And so now it's as parents and as teachers, that's the things that we have to do. So I really believe that see, and then I have a different, and I'm gonna tell you the truth, I have a different mindset because I'm not in the actual city. I'm in suburbs, even though I'm not in, I have a son that still hangs in Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
Why he's never involved in any foolishness, because those are not the friends that he has. And so, I teach my kids too. If you go to safe places, and if you feel, see, I teach my children about energy and feeling. So, my daughter, she went to high school in Harvey too. So she'll say, "Ma, I was at this party and I said, I don't feel right. I told my girls we gotta leave right now." And and I told my daughter, if you tell your friends that statement and they do not leave, you follow your instinct and you
And
get
you
out of
leave. Girl, so many times I've left a
it.
place and people called and say, "Did you hear
They
what I
shot up
said?"
and they shot up the party. And she said, and so her friends always called her grandma anyway.
Oh, yeah.
She's been a grandma since she was baby. And
She
she was
probably
2 years
one of
old.
the elders, right?
Yeah, but she so her friends will listen to her. And then my other son, he is not into anything like that. He got a select few friends. He's only going to their houses. He's only going to their birthday parties, things like that. And then my other son that hangs out in Harvey, he has friends that are good kids. And so he hangs out with them, and that's it. But he also would say, "Ma, if I go somewhere and I don't feel like, if I start feeling something and I need to get out of there, I'm gone." And I tell him, very, very good,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to do. You got to tell them to stop being so, you got to be always have your head on a swivel, and you got to let that, when you go out, you got to let your body feel that energy of
And what's
outside.
going on. And no, yeah, you are divinely protected, but you're divinely protected by
Yep. But
listening.
what,
Mm-hmm.
by listening and
Mm-hmm.
by connecting and by saying, before you get there, I want to go
Divinely
out there to
protected.
this
Yep.
party and I
Yep.
want to get back home safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
Period.
cool.
Period.
So, oh my goodness, this has gone so fast.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you spending time with us on Father's Day, and that speaks to who you are and your family, your husband, who knows that this is the work that we do. We're on a mission, and part of our work is to provide this service during the solstice, because that's when the energy in the universe is at a standstill, and we get to plant a deeper seed, and we get to give something and provide something that makes a difference that can go on, you know, for a longer time, you know, and hopefully make a difference for someone. So
Mhm.
we've talked about a lot of things. Do you have any resources or any checkpoints that you can share with people where they can get more information? And then also let people know the services that you provide and how they can find you.
Okay. So I think that it's a company called Book Riot. They have a lot of self-help books for black, and what I love about it is black authors. But bookriot.com, they have some self-help books for children. I literally Googled black self-help books for children, and so many resources came up. And it was a doctor. They have a book called Family. No, so it's to help with the community part of being in family. And his
Mm-hmm.
name was Robert Myers, Dr. Robert Myers.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a psychologist. I felt that
I'm gonna put these on the website. So
okay,
yeah,
that his resources were really good. I can share what
yeah,
I did, and
yeah.
then my coaching practices. I am able. You can find me on Facebook as Mecca Eves Glass. You also can email me at mothermecca115 at gmail.com. My phone number to contact me is 708-253-8795. And um, I'm always available for you to contact me, and I'll get back with you within 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. I'm really easy to contact to find me.
Yeah, and you definitely can help parents, you know, with the destiny cards and have sessions with them and their children to help them um, to know their child's destiny and numerology.
Myself, all the meditation, I actually found some guided meditation
Well, we're
to
doing meditation and affirmations on Saturday,
yes,
so
yes. Okay, good.
yeah,
Good. So,
we'll
cause
bring
I,
that.
that is my belief. That
Yeah,
is my belief. That is my belief. That is my belief. Because literally, I didn't stay at home, and my computer, I turned in my work computer, and then my actual computer was in my office. And
mm.
so I was 3 days without sleeping under meditation, and I literally was off. I literally was off.
Yeah, so I
I
do.
sleep
I use it. So you're probably talking about subliminals and binaurals and that
yes.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's so important, you know, because especially it helps you to relax before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
But now you're actually imprinting
Yes. It is.
powerful affirmations or
Yeah.
visualizations as you sleep that are going to make a difference for you the next day,
Yes.
you know. Yeah, so those are very important tools, and we need to share those with our children, especially. And I remember when my oldest son used to play the video games, and he was only allowed 2 hours a day,
Yep.
and that
Yep.
2 hours was with the television and video. So if
Yep.
you don't do television, you get the whole 2 hours. And then I
Right.
told him, I said, this is a programming device.
Yeah.
And people wanted to argue with me because, oh, this professor from Stanford said there's no
Oh,
way
what he said.
that, you know. And I said, I don't care what they say. I have studied how the mind works since I was 8 years old, and
Oh,
I promise you that when you put things in the brain continuously, you become that. It can't help. The brain is a creative. It creates.
yes. And also, it is actually that it was marketed. TVs, radios were not even in homes. They first started in the army.
Yep.
Rockefeller and a group of people actually put TVs in the home to brainwash people to they started with the
Television.
commercials.
That's
They
right.
started with the commercials. They'll say, "Oh, do you want some ice cream?" and blah
A
blah blah.
soap. It
And
was
then
the soap operas to sell
yes,
soap, right?
yes, yes. And so all of those that literally they have reports. They're not they, but there are reports out that states how when they began to market into the homes like that, ice cream sales went up, popcorn
Yes.
sales went up. Anything that they were doing, and that's what all marketing is about to this day.
That's
So
all market.
please
And
watch,
promise you, they
not
market to
believe
us. They
that they are
market to
being
us.
brainwashed by the television, then that means you really are brainwashed. So
Yeah.
thank you for letting them know they have brainwashed you.
And so
So
this is it. This is what we have to do. We have to take our children back. We
yeah,
have to take our families back.
yeah.
We have to take the whole education process back because it
Mhm.
really is not truly educating our children.
No, it's teaching them how to be a lower class citizen.
Yeah, so that they
That's
can
what
be
it's truly
worker
doing.
bees. Yes.
And then they want to say in our communities that and you know what? And I want to make this point here because it hit me like a couple weeks ago that our children, so this is what people don't understand, like how, okay, these kids had all these bad grades, they couldn't read, they couldn't do all this stuff, but now you see them and they are working, they have nice, beautiful jobs, and some of them are nurses and stuff like that. Well, first of all, because of their survival skills and things like that, they are more intelligent than what people believe because you're only testing them on this test that
Made
you gave,
up.
this
Made
made up
up.
test that you gave that you didn't teach them the correct vocabulary for and all these things. So you're not really getting their true sense of what they can do. But because they have to, when they don't got ham, but they got burger. So now they got to make something that make it a hamburger. And when they don't have ketchup, but they got mustard and they have a hamburger, when they have these things, they have to keep on doing and they have to change all of this. So that's helping their brain because they're using more of their left brain to create. And so then that's how they end up still becoming successful people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on us. So that's why they don't want to be taught that way because that's why it's hurting our kids by having them come in class, sit down, look at this book, stay in their seat, don't say anything, barely ask questions. That's
because
hurting our kids.
because the education system literally is designed
Yes,
for the left brain, which is
yes,
strictly logic,
yes,
strictly reasoning,
yes.
strictly
So
math, strictly. But it's like,
I
mm-mm.
meant to say that our kids use their right brain more because
But I
I
write,
meant
but
to,
the right
yeah,
brain, yeah. But they
I meant to
both.
say
We
that our
want
kids,
them to use both. That's where
yeah,
the genius
yeah,
factor comes in.
yeah.
Bring
So
them both in,
that's
right?
why they actually
But the left brain is with the tester on. That's
yes,
what. Yes.
yes, that's what I was and so they make them they do like okay, I'll say like my twins. One of them is a rote brain think learner. You could say this is red, this is green, this is that. He's gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
My other son, you have to. His teacher had him run to the green circle, run to the orange block, go get the blue ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he learned. And
Cause kinetic, right?
yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that's that.
Yeah.
We have very intelligent children.
Right.
We have to find their intelligence.
We have to find, and we have to have let them feel good about who they are. That's the first thing. Let them feel good where they are. And I realize we could talk all night. It is just at that 9 o'clock hour. And I want to get you back to your family and just thank you, Mecca. If you have one final word before we sign out.
Just want to say that it is very important that you love yourself, and then that way you'll be able to love your child properly. And it is okay at this point that we're all learning each day. So just keep on, and it's okay to get help, and it's okay to say, hey, I didn't know about these things. Can you help me? Because I'm always available. I love you like no other. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to invite the rest of you to join us for the rest of the week. We're going to have conversations each night Tomorrow we'll be talking about self-care for children. So join us again, and we look forward to you. And visit us on our website, master force leadership academy.com. You'll find the recap there as well as the resources that we mentioned. And we'll see you again soon. Good night, everyone.
Right.